Hello, everybody,
Uh,
and welcome to Spirit Chat. I am Medium Mari, one of the co-hosts of Spirit Chat with my other wonderful co-host, Medium Winter Brook. And thank you, everybody, for being here. Welcome to another episode of Spirit Chat. And we are in for a very special treat today because we have the amazing astrologer Kathy Biehl here with us. And she is amazing and has been doing this for a very long time, has so much amazing information. And we're just so glad to welcome her to our show. Sorry, having a little trouble with my AirPods here, but we will soldier on. So thank you so much, Kathy, for being here and welcome.
Thank you for inviting me.
Wonderful. Thank you for coming on. And Winter, how are you doing today?
Oh, I'm great. I'm just super happy to be back. We had a bit of a long break because of the holiday season, and I'm excited to have met Kathy. She's new to me, and it's exciting to meet another attorney, albeit retired as well, who now practices in the metaphysical um, field. Sorry, I did mention it's a little tired today. So we were having a delightful conversation before we started, and I just love everything about astrology. I am not an astrologer, so I find it fascinating how astrologers can contain all this information, and it comes out to be pretty precise. Heck of a lot more precise than the weatherman, wouldn't you say, Mari? As you and I are both, and Kathy, we're all in the path of this new storm that's coming in 6 to 12 inches.
Yeah, no, not super excited about that. As you can see among my little plants here, it is very snowy here already. So I'm very close to New Hampshire, and whenever the weatherman says it's the bullseye, that's pretty much my house. So not really looking forward to more snow, as I know other people are not as well, but you've got to do the best you can. Um, so yeah, we're hanging in there, but I'm so excited to have Kathy here. I love astrology as well. I'm also not an astrologer, but I've definitely followed it for many years and just excited to hear about what the upcoming 2026 year is going to bring for everybody. So without further ado, I want to do a little bio on Kathy so we can know a little bit about more of her. Kathy Biehl lives on the bridge between intuition and rational mind. She is a professional astrologer and tarot advisor whose work draws from her diverse life experience as an attorney, small business owner, performing artist, and writer. She approaches all of it with a sense of wonder, keen research abilities, and the desire to explore and explain human existence. A prolific forecaster, advisor, and teacher, she concentrates on astrology you can use, blending real world, practical explanations and tips with humor, optimism, and love of patterns, symbolism, and pop culture. She has a special knack for connecting dots into storylines and tracking them from the past to the present to their probable trajectory into the future. Known for translating technicalities into mainstream language, she contributed the chapter on astrology to Your Guide to Self-Discovery, Llewellyn Worldwide 2023. She hosts the show Celestial Compass on Om Times Radio and TV, and Best American Psychics recently named her 2026 Psychic of the Year. Yay! And she won the Om Times Media Best Astrologer in 2022. Oh, and I also hear that she makes killer salted chocolate caramels. I would love to try some of those. So without further ado, thank you so much, Kathy, for being here, and welcome to Spirit Chat.
Thanks again. And depending on where, I'm assuming you're in Massachusetts, we may cross paths.
Oh,
You may get salted chocolate caramels. We'll see.
oh, I would love some. I'll order some. I'll send you a Venmo. That sounds delicious to me. Anything with chocolate is
Oh
right up
yeah.
my alley for sure. So tell us, Kathy, a little bit about how you got to where you are. I mean, I know obviously from your intro, you're an attorney, etc. But how did you go from that to a working astrologer? How did that happen?
I was parallel for a long, long time. I was interested in astrology first and other things, and then out of desperation, I went to law school, not knowing what to do with myself, and I was pretty unhappy. And early on in my 20s, I just started going to astrology school while I was still practicing, and I left normal practice. And I was also, so for a while, I was a freelance writer and an attorney studying astrology, and then I just started seeing more and more and more clients. And this was all in Texas, and then moved to the Northeast, and gradually it became more writing and astrology, and now it's pretty much just astrology these days. And I mean, that's actually how I earn my living. I've weaned all of my law clients off. Like, nope, nope, not doing it anymore. Nope, nope, nope.
Wow, that sounds awesome. So good for you. I know I'm thinking as you're talking, I'm like, oh, I have to book a session with her. I would love to have my chart done. It's been quite some time. So that sounds awesome. Now, Winter, as people probably know, is also an attorney. So did you have a similar path, Winter, to switching over as Kathy did?
No, no. I actually had no awareness of this side of life. Um, I wanted to be a lawyer since I was 8 or 9. My dad was an attorney. That's probably what influenced it. And I did go to law school, and I love law. Um, but then around 2006, my abilities started opening. And, I started hearing voices. And thank God for me, I had adopted my youngest daughter and had a psych eval in that process. So I knew I was sane. And he would also speak Jewish, or actually, I learned Yiddish and Hebrew to me. Now, I was raised Presbyterian and I'm Irish Norwegian, so I didn't, other than oi, I didn't know much Yiddish or Hebrew. Had the words come in Spanish, then, I could have thought it was my own. So I had to learn what it was all about. I went to the local library, took out books. Then I started studying with local spiritualist ministers. And then I went to Omega, met James Van Pragues and Tony Stockwell, and started studying. Um, yeah, so I then decided after my parents passed that I would pursue it and keep my law license in the event I want to go back to practicing law. But wasn't necessary, and this does give me more time, although I do very much keep my license, so at any time I wish I can go. I love law. I loved law school. It was a love-hate relationship. I don't know if you found this. I know you said you weren't happy at law school, but I found it intellectually exhilarating as well as exhausting. So, you know, but anyway, um, I also love meeting people, being the Irish part, so I get to meet lots of dead people and guides, and I've learned that we are not the physical beings that we're led to believe we are as far as limitations. So just learning how much more we are than we're taught is also very freeing, and that's where I want to empower people to learn that they're much more than they think they are.
Yeah, absolutely, for sure. I mean, that's what John Holland always says, right? Is that we are soul with a body, not a body with a soul. Think about that for a minute. So basically, we're here as soul beings, and this is just kind of the outfit that we're inhabiting this time around. It's good to have, obviously, to transport us around, but it's not who we are. And I think that's what he means by that. So, obviously, everybody knows there's a lot of craziness happening in the world right now, from politics, everything else. And I know I and probably a lot of our viewers and listeners would love to hear from Kathy. What is going on with all that, astrologically? Can you help us make heads or tails of what's happening?
I actually can tie onto what Winterbrook just said. because this year a fire is being lit in all of us to go be who we really are. The ground rules are blowing up, institutions are crumbling, everything you thought you had to follow, outer stuff is just falling apart, and everyone's going to get their own inner fire ignited in February like crazy. I've been saying that we, at the beginning of the year, we're building the runway to go through the wormhole, and we're going to be shot into a way of being that is absolutely new. And you don't know my normal way of talking to understand that I do not speak in hyperbole. I make jokes. I'm a smartass, but I don't exaggerate. And I don't say this lightly. So what is happening is we are wrapping up long phases of how we have interacted with material reality and institutions and systems and our attitude about government and who has power. And we're moving into a much leveling the playing field. As there are a number of things doing that. And moving from basically, the influence of mud being really, really earthbound to fire and air. I find it fascinating that the fire horse here corresponds with this. So, how to put this? There is a defining aspect happening. Well, February is the pivot month. There we go. February is the pivot month. We've been doing a lot of planning. We've been building foundations. We've been building new ways of doing things. And this particular stretch, while we're talking, has a lot to do with collective action and getting very, very clear on your own personal values and who you are linking arms with. I find it fascinating that there are general strikes going on during all this because that fits the symbolism of a lot of the astrology. But when we get into February, we're moving into one of the defining aspect of the year, which involves the influence of order, adulting, maturity, consequences. The guy that wants to put structure on everything is meeting with the influence of absolute boundlessness, which is Neptune. Next week we'll start to feel it on January 26th. Neptune is moving out of the sign that it rules, which is Pisces, where it's been since spring of 2011. And that's like hyper confusing, like you'd be massively connected to something that is not on this physical plane. So for some people, it may have been a really transcendent time. Some people may have descended into substance abuse like crazy or escapism, or doing whatever they could to deaden what they were or were not feeling. It's the rise of misinformation and fake news and gaslighting and being told lies like crazy. As soon as Neptune gets into Aries, the fog is going to start to burn off. We got a foretaste of this last year from the end of March into the early fall. Neptune was there briefly. And the very first major news event that happened as soon as it shifted was the senator from my state, New Jersey, Cory Booker, taking the floor in the Senate and talking for 25 and a half hours, which was and that was a spiritual warrior moment. And that's one of the possibilities of Saturn meeting Neptune. They're meeting at the very first degree of the zodiac, which is the point of raw creation. And some people are seeing this as giving us all the opportunity to manifest our creativity, to take dominion over it and bring it into physical being. I see a really strong spiritual warrior potential in this. And this is absolutely raw, unpremeditated energy. The time for like setting up your base and plotting and planning and having your project management benchmarks, whatever, that's going to go out the window. There'll be no more time for that once this ignites. You'll start to feel it again when Neptune moves in on January 26th, and then Saturn goes to the same spot right around Valentine's Day, and they meet. They have a one-time conjunction on February 20th at 0 degrees Aries. We have not lived through anything like this. Now, these two guys, every 36 years, these two planets will meet in one sign or another, and their meeting generally coincides with collapsing of institutions. Berlin Wall fell under this. Russian Revolution happened under this. Certain man whose initials start with JE was born under this, whose files are much in question. The Magna Carta happened under this. So, and democracy was instituted in Athens under this. So there is a, like, again, I said, the leveling of power and individuals having more gumption and going and doing things for themselves. So that's like the base level for the year. There's a whole lot more I can and will say, but I want to pause and let you ask questions or respond, because that's a lot to take in.
Oh, you know what? I have to take notes whenever we have a astrologer or if I'm listening to someone because I'm like, whoa, I can all this information. So, guys, I just want to point out to those listening that we're not going to be doing individual astrology readings today because that requires the birth date of the individual, and that's information that could be wrongly used. But Kathy will do psychic information for you, and Mari and I will do psychic mediumship or animal communications. Just wanted to point out before we take any questions that no individual astrological readings. So I know Melissa had a question for Kathy, I think, but she didn't get a chance to write it. So I don't know if Melissa's still here.
I think so. Yeah, Melissa, if you're here, feel free to put it in the chat, or you can raise your hand and ask if you have a particular question for Kathy. And I'm sure there's a lot more to say where you're just sort of starting to drill down. And I know that people probably are interested in how they can sort of best approach this time with all of these changes that are coming
Melissa
up.
is here. So, honey, if you want to ask the question,
Yeah.
I had asked her to put it in the chat for me because I wanted to make sure we hadn't had a chance to explain about no individual astrologicals in the show. But if you want to ask a
Yeah,
question
that was.
that's not pertaining to that,
Or maybe general, Kathy, are you able to give, say, in general, for Aries this year, or general, I don't know if that's something you can do, just sort of
Oh yeah, but
the,
there are a few more important things to know about what's about the framework for the year.
oh
So,
yeah,
all right,
absolutely,
then
I'm
you know what?
sure.
Let's let Kathy keep going because
okay.
sometimes questions are answered um, in the talk.
All right. So I want everyone to think about what last summer was like, because we had uh, a test run of the energies that are going to actually really, really ramp up this summer and lock into place. And it may be that you just got some ideas or some doors started opening, or there might not have been any big thing that happened, but essentially by the summer, all of the influences that have been wrapping things up in the really, really heavy energies will all be in fire and air, all
Huh.
interacting, all dancing. So if we start going into this year and you're like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. Well, you'll be in a mix master of energy in July. And there's not, again, a lot of premeditation to this. This is going with your innate internal driver. But there are two more things I want to point out. Part of the other reason February is when everything changes is that an eclipse cycle starts. So we have eclipses all the time. Eclipses just reset our certain areas of our lives. We get to revisit things because they're on a 19-year cycle. So we get to revisit issues, and sometimes we wash things out. Sometimes we start things new. This one on the 17th, right before Saturn and Neptune meet, so we're already feeling it, is going to hit the reset button in how we relate to each other. It's going to hit the reset button and install new internal operating systems in our communities and in how we interact as a collective. And it's going to also reset the US populace. So it's right on the US moon, and it's going to blow up the charts of the two people who are at the top of our government. So I don't know what that's going to do to them, but this is a really, I mean, I have some theories, but I don't want to get off into that. Just that this is a really, really, really important time. So the eclipse is in the sign of Aquarius. It's near the end of Aquarius. It's a new moon near the end of Aquarius. It will be especially impactful on the very end of the baby boom. If you were born from the very late 50s, if you consider yourself a boomer from the late 50s on, it's going to be really, really big in its impact on you. And it's not like good or bad. People always say, well, it's a good thing. It just is, all right? It just is. You're going to have changes and reset, and that's part of, and you're going to have the wherewithal inside you, like an inner fire coming on. And this does not have to be horrifically disruptive, because the rest of the sky at that time is in really lovely, let's all get along, beautiful, harmonious energy. So maybe we're all anesthetized. Maybe we're all just, binge watching, streaming. Maybe we're all, doing what I do, which is like the moment I'm mainlining hot buttered rum, I'll just fess up to that. But there's every potential in this for people to wake up and go be who they really are and find the people they vibe with and build communities that way. That's the second. So that's another big piece. And the final piece I want to give you is in the fall, we get to have a stretch of what just happened and re-examining and reevaluating and deciding, sifting through the experiences of the year, sifting through our attitudes about money and things that are happening in relationships, and also crimes and corruption. That will be a big piece of the sifting through and revisiting and deciding what we're done with and what we want to keep in our lives. And that is because the planet Venus will be retrograde from the beginning of October to the middle of November. Mercury will be retrograde for part of this too. You've probably heard about a Mercury retrograde. That's when, phone doesn't work, things go fluey. The two of them together in basically the same spot. Venus retrograde gives us the chance to go back and look at past relationships, past creative projects, people who were in our lives, what we valued, and see, do we value it now? Whatever it is, does it have a place now? And we'll be going back over things that were hidden or confused because of the Mercury part of it. So basically, the first part of the year, the very first month, is building the foundation, building the runway. Then we get shot through, but with the internal mechanism to go make anything, to just go be ourselves and just go like wildly into creating our own lives, doing some tweaking in July, and then looking at things going, what was that about in the fall? So there's your overview.
Wow, that sounds like a very busy year. I don't know. I'm not sure if I
It's
should be excited or afraid. listening to that. So, thank you so much for all that information. And it definitely feels, at least to me, energetically, it feels like a super heavy time. There's so much in the air, and I'm hoping that through 2026, even though it kind of sounds a little bit like a roller coaster, maybe we can release some of that energy and get a little bit of respite, because from my clients and other people I'm working with, everyone's just like, oh, like enough already.
Tell me about it.
So is there any respite in the year? I know you were talking about Venus, and it sounds like there might be a
Well,
little bit of time.
things will stabilize at the end of the summer a bit.
Okay.
They'll stabilize a bit at the end of the summer, at least internally, like feeling good about yourself or where you are in your life. And it's not so. I mean, if it's a roller coaster, it's you're in the front seat, waving your hands, screaming like a maniac. So we all have much more bravado, much more daring, much more, I don't give a flying, and just going off and doing things.
Hmm.
You might be surprised of what you're capable of. This kind of energy, again, oh, someone's saying, haha, yes. This kind of energy, when Saturn and Neptune meet at the very first degree of the zodiac, it's kind of like a rebirth of civilization because they have not
Hmm.
met at the first degree of the zodiac since before recorded history. It's been that long. So,
Wow.
you know,
That sounds kind of scary. I just got the chills when you said that. So it's
but I
like
think it's
we,
also really I think it's cause for optimism because we're getting shot out of a lot of the confusion, and we're going to be given the navigational system to keep going and to actually stand up and do what we feel we need to do. This isn't lying down and letting tanks roll over our bodies. Nope, 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 nope. Not at all.
this is sounds like action and, moving forward. And it almost sounds like in some ways you're talking that it's like a little bit of momentum of like, I'm doing these things. I'm not sure why I'm doing them, but I'm going to keep moving forward. It sort of has that type of energy to it. So I think, I think for a lot of people have felt really stuck and not really
Oh yeah.
sure and almost like buried in like a little cave. Like I'm gonna stay here. I'm not gonna go anywhere. But having that momentum, I think, will give people a little bit of a breath of fresh air, because it's hard to be stuck, all the time. And I think we need some momentum, some movement. What do you think about that, Winter?
Definitely. I have a fondness for stallions. I was once called a stallion with my volunteer work with Gift of Life and bringing children for corrective heart surgery to Long Island. So whenever I hear stallion, I'm thinking, just going, like on the racehorse, the
Mm-hmm.
races. And I mean, I'm ready. Personally, and I think there's a lot of people who are in the same thought and emotional and same mojo as me. They're ready to kind of build something new, uh, break away some of the bad stuff, and just clean everything up. Because so we have that generation. Was it Generation Z? Aren't they supposed to rebuild? If you're looking at like the indigo children and things like that. So they're up and coming, right? They're in their 20s now. It's kind of like my daughter. It's scary.
Mm-hmm.
No. um, so they're getting ready to start moving into society from college and such like that, and building themselves as business leaders and political leaders. And look what just happened in New York City with
Mm-hmm.
the election of the new mayor that was driven by the younger generation. So it's like that's the energy that, our generation may be lacking at the moment because we're kind of more in the wisdom stage of our lives, the crone
We're
stage.
tired. We're tired. Yeah.
No, not
I don't
here,
know.
but
I'm tired. I'll speak for myself. I'm
oh, I'm
tired.
sorry, sweetheart. I thought you were
Yeah.
saying retired. See, the hearing
No, we're
goes too.
tired. No, we're tired. Exactly. Yeah. No, I'm tired. The young kids can get the thing started, but I'll speak for myself. I'm ready for a little R&R. It's been a long slog, so I'm
Yes, we've
happy to hear.
accumulated knowledge
Yeah.
and wisdom that we can then
Exactly.
share. We're in our sage years. So, but I don't know. I just saw a big shift with New York City, with Madami and the younger people that were out there voting for him. So I think that kind of lines up with the fire horse and what Kathy's talking about, this new energy, bringing in new, tearing down the
But also the
vestiges.
collective coming together because
Mm.
uh, they went out and knocked on doors, and it was, I don't remember how many, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people were involved in his campaign. And we're seeing this on the streets in Minneapolis, people just banding together. Eh, I've been seeing it where I live with there's something called the Visibility Brigade, the people that go on overpasses with signs. I've met all kinds of people, and they're pass information and have set up new communication systems. That kind of thing, I think, is going to be more and more and more what is going on.
Good.
Wow.
I'm happy to hear that.
Yeah, things
Um,
moving forward. Things moving forward, hopefully for the better. That's for sure.
We're not going back to the way things were, okay? I mean, it's just, I've been saying this wormhole that we're going through is going to disappear. We won't even see where it was once it
Hmm.
closes. Like,
I like
well,
that though. I like that. It's good because sometimes people get so stuck in the past that it's hard for them to let go of it. And so maybe having that hole disappear and being forced to move forward, I think is what some people need to try to make change and to make things better, for themselves personally and in this country as well.
I agree because it's just not happening for me right now. I'd like to
No,
see us, move
not
past.
too good now, that's for sure. So
consider the
I don't.
possibility that we're not being shown the way things a lot of really are. Neptune, whom I call the cosmic fog machine, is at the very end of his time, and there's a real veil of unreality around everything, and a lot of stuff is going to start to look very different as soon as next week.
Hmm. Wow.
Good. Something to look forward to. Thank you.
Yeah, that sounds good. I think we can all have some things that we're looking forward to that isn't more giant piles of snow. So I'm not looking forward to that. Uh, I
Poor
know, I don't know.
Mari.
I know, I just don't, it's just enough already for me with the snow, you can
I
see
actually had
it's just,
plans in the city on Sunday. I even bought my tickets, and then I saw the weather forecast and went, I did this. I'm going to claim
Oh,
it.
yeah, it might be a little rough. I'm not sure how much you're getting, but I know my son is in Philadelphia and I think they're getting, I don't know, like a foot to a foot and a half or something
Hmm.
crazy down there. So I'm like, just you don't go anywhere, don't do anything, it's
Hmm.
gonna be a lot. So
he's
buckle up,
19.
y'all.
He'll be out there hooping and hollering, I hope, and playing.
Yeah, I don't know. I was like, just be safe, as moms, that's always our number one. So I know
Absolutely.
we have some questions in the chat, and Melissa said she had just
Yes.
a general question, but I
Melissa's
think so.
back, and honey, you just have to unmute yourself. I remuted you. I'm sorry. That's my job.
All right, can you hear me, girls?
Yes, we can.
Yes, we can.
Hello?
I like the kitty.
Oh, that's my Dichimo, my Russian Maine Coon. My God, girls,
Oh,
he's intuitive and he's by me all the time when I'm stressed out.
yeah. Oh,
Um,
he's
I
beautiful,
have two of
beautiful.
those,
Thank you.
so I hear you. And he's
Oh my God,
beautiful.
he's like Velcro, Velcro.
Very
What
protective.
color? Oh yes. Now, my question is to all three of you. it's been 2 years. My mom passed away last year. And we had a situation with the brother. I feel like what's going on is that I'm pushing with jobs, with love, with getting my life together. And God darn it, there's constant blockers. There's something that says no, and it's stopping me. I feel like I'm forcing, I'm pushing, I'm trying, and I'm getting blocked. I'm getting blocked. I'm doing my work, girls. I'm meditating. I'm being good, but it's like maybe it's the location. But every time I try to find a job, a relationship to move on, it's like somebody keeps saying no. It's like something keeps putting a stop to it, and I keep trying and trying. I can probably hear it in my voice. I'm frustrated. I'm frustrated. My family's in New York. Nobody's helping me. I'm by myself. And I'm like, if now, please don't get offended what I'm going to say. I'm like, God, where are you? Where are my spirit guides? I know this is a 911. Where are my spirit guides? Where are my why isn't this going through? It's like I feel like
So,
my
Melissa, the first question I'm going to throw back at you, and I know we're supposed to answer in statements, but um, how about have you tried different fields or
I have
areas? In
I
other words,
have
I think you've been applying for the same type of area, whereas I think the universe wants you to move into a different direction career wise.
okay, that would be good. I'll try that. Okay, I'll do that.
Kathy, do you have
I have a
anything?
homing thought for you, and this might be something to think about when you're meditating.
Hmm.
That is, lead me in the direction that's most beneficial and
Okay,
make the signals so strong I get them.
okay, I
I
can
don't
do
think your
that.
conscious mind is going to figure this out, but
Okay,
you could, if you open yourself to recognizing when there's an open door or recognizing when there's an outstretched hand, that might that might be helpful at this point.
wait,
Do you need me
okay.
to say it again?
Nope, I got that. I
You
got
got
it.
it. Okay.
I got it. Oh yeah,
No,
that sounds good.
100%. And you know, Melissa, I've done a lot of readings for you in the past, so we've
Oh,
definitely chatted before. I
I
wanted to
love that.
follow up. I was thinking exactly, and hearing from my guides what Kathy was saying is that I almost feel in some ways that like you're trying so hard that like that energy is keeping anything away. So for
Okay.
you to be able to, and I know it's hard when you're trying to be like, help me figure this out, and you have all that sort of anxious kind of whipped up energy, sometimes it pushes away the subtler signs and the subtler symbols. And so I agree with what Kathy said, is just sort of, if you're able to take a deep breath and sort of sit back and just say, please show me what it is I need to know, and allow that to filter in without any judgment. And you might get something and you're like, well, that sounds crazy. Don't immediately judge it. Don't immediately feel like it has to fit in a certain box, sort of what Winter was saying, that, oh, I'm
Yeah.
only expecting it to be in this box and anything outside of that box is no good. So just allow whatever information is coming into and follow it, even if it feels weird, even if you're like, there's no way this is going to work out. That's your mind, that's your judgment. That's not your spirit. So if you're able to sort of sit back, let go of some of the judgment pieces and just receive and be aware of the subtle things, I think that you're going to do a lot better.
Yeah. I'll definitely do that. I have to stop. I can't. I gotta relax. And you girls are
I
right.
know you're in your way. You're like, ah.
Yeah, so fair. Yeah, yes.
I can feel it, but sometimes, you can't, sometimes you can't beat things out of the universe. I mean, believe me, I have beaten a lot of things, sometimes it just doesn't work. You can try and try, but sometimes it's in the letting go that you're able
Mm,
to find.
that's the part. That's the toughest thing to let go. And that's tough. It's a control issue, and that's I have to
Yep.
learn,
Yep,
you know?
exactly. And that's what's going on right now. It's the control piece. So Take a deep breath and try to let it go, because I know there's a lot of information out there. You're not able to see it because of it's almost like you have the blinders of the control and of how you think it should be.
It's true. It's true.
Yeah.
No, it makes sense. Oh my gosh, yeah. Oh God, I
Good.
gotta learn.
Good. Well, you can do it. I know you can do it. So hang in there,
Yeah.
breathe it in, and allow. It's hard. It's a big lesson for a lot of us. You're not alone. You're definitely not alone.
Thank God. I thought it was just me losing it. Like
No,
I'm good.
it's not just you. It's not just you.
I got
So
thank you,
hope
girls.
that
Thank
was helpful. You're welcome. So, and I don't know, Kathy, if somebody has sort of like a general question like Scorpio or Aries or whatever, I don't know if that's something that you would be able to answer if anybody is
They
here.
put
And
words to it beyond just the sign. Yeah, like what
right.
about?
Ta-da, jazz hands. Yeah, so does anybody else here have any questions? Maybe a more general type of astrological questioning, or if
So,
people are looking for readings?
Maury, we did get
Yes.
a question from Kim Brush. Um,
Okay.
can Kathy just revisit what was happening? Did you say on or starting on 1/26? So I assume, I don't know if that's the 26th of January or
Yep, it is.
January 20. Okay,
Yep.
just repeat
Okay.
what you said, please.
On January 26th, the planet Neptune is going to leave the sign of Pisces, where it's been since April 2011, and it's going to move into the sign of Aries. Neptune represents our connection, like how we unhinge, untether from worldly experience. So it's the highest love, highest divine inspiration. It's how we fool ourselves, modes of escapism. It's everything from mental illness to seeing God everywhere you go. So um, it's the trident. The symbol is Neptune's trident, and you can think of that as it doesn't really draw energy down, but it's gonna feel a bit like it's doing that. So we're getting out of a completely watery, immersed in everybody's business experience and moving into a much more individual firepower igniting. So things we had a little bit of this last year, again, end of March, early into the fall for the first time in our lifetimes. Neptune has traveled so slowly, it hasn't been here since the late 1800s. And so you're going to hear a lot of people saying, oh my God, Neptune is going back to where it was during the Civil War. Oh my God, this means the US is going to erupt into war. Well, not that way, okay? So you're going to start to feel your own pilot light come back on next week, and you're going to start to feel like the anesthesia is wearing off that we've been under, being kind of befuddled for a number of years. And you may see people being less forgiving, less making excuses, and much more in the moment and proactive. So some inspirational images are Captain Kirk from Star Trek. That's like super Aries. Xena, Warrior Princess. There's another one to think about. Just bravely going off and doing things.
Awesome. Thank you for that. And
Thank you,
I'm
Kathy.
keeping an eye on the Facebook as well. And Darlene Dowdy, hi Darlene. She has a question. What's in store for a Cancer, just in general, in 2026? Anything she should be on the
Well, there's
lookout
been
for?
a hyper focus on your own emotional sensitivity since some point in June last year, because the planet that expands everything it touches has been in Cancer. And at the very end of June, it's going to move into the sign of Leo. So you may feel like you're not having to worry so much about family issues, or not. You might feel some of your natural emotional sensitivity also kind of burning off once we get into the summer.
Great. Thank you for that. All right. Yeah, no, she's appreciating that the general reading for that because I think a lot of people are on edge and just sort of like, I want to make sure, see what's
Well,
going on for me.
I have observed kind of hyper Cancerian behavior in cancers around me, like their worry and anxiety going completely off the charts. And that,
Hmm.
again, is because of this expansive influence that's been traveling through the sign of Cancer. And people might feel a little less under attack, a little less threatened when the summer rolls around.
Awesome. That is good. Yeah, she said it makes sense. Thank you so much. So appreciated for that. So do we have anybody here in the Zoom room that has any questions or would like sort of a general type of astrology reading? I thought I saw a hand up.
I think both Linda and Terry uh, were hoping for some insight from Kathy.
Okay. Linda, what is your question? You want to unmute yourself and ask?
Uh, just looking for general guidance with astrology. And if anybody else has anything else for me, I'd really appreciate it. I'm kind of in this funky area in my life, looking for another job. Other things are happening, and I just don't. I'm not. I know the guides are giving me the signs. I'm just not getting it for some reason.
And what's your sun sign, Linda?
I don't know what my sun sign is, but I'm a Cancer.
That's your
Okay,
sun sign.
that's your
Okay.
sun sign.
That's your sun sign.
So we got another Cancer in the house.
Um, this, for a lot of people, this has not been a time to push things forward. This has been a time to shore up your base, get your own personal infrastructure lined up, take care of your own business. The time to act is coming, but this isn't it. So you still get to cocoon for a little while. You'll start to come to. Uh, you'll start to come to. And I would say that April, you could feel absolutely on fire. Like,
Okay.
so, know that there is huge uh, activity coming. Regroup, cocoon, shore up, rest, play with your cat, get all grounded, have some cookies. It's the time to do that. You're going to be real busy later.
Okay, good. Thank you.
That's great. I don't
Terry?
know, Winter, did you have anything you wanted to add to that? Or I'm keeping an eye on the time to make sure that we can try to get to everybody.
No, I think Kathy nailed that.
Yeah,
I
no, I
also
agree
feel
that.
there's a little bit of a delay and it will happen. I just feel like not yet.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I was feeling the same thing as well. It just feels, and I think from what Kathy was saying, it's a lot of us are in this sort of hold pattern
Hmm.
while we're, waiting for the snake to finish shedding its skin, since we are in the year of the snake, the lunar calendar, and moving into the fire horse. So it's almost like the end of, so, bake your cookies now, snuggle up in bed now, because it feels like the ball's going to start rolling down the hill. So I
Okay.
feel the same thing for you, Linda. Just hold tight, and the momentum will be picking up as it gets a little bit later in the year.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Good to see you.
You too.
Um, so Terry has a question. She's having a lot of changes now. Will things get better? And I'm gonna give that one to Kathy because Mari and I both know Terry, so we have knowledge
Okay.
of what's going on.
Well, Better is a tricky word because people will, I'll often tell people what's going on and they'll go, well, is it good or bad? It just is. So I can tell you that things are changing, that whatever the current hardness is will not be in that shape soon. And this is a really important time to take care of yourself and to do is consider what I've been telling people is check out what's on the ground. Like, what is your own metaphoric ground like? Because in a little while, things are going to be happening so quickly, you will not have the presence of mind to make sure your shoes are on, much less tied. So, whatever is going on in your, or not happening in your life right now, or seems like it's going badly, you will be jettisoned into different circumstances. And some of it is going to come seemingly out of the blue and from things you would not have foreseen. In other words, not currently factors on your radar.
Okay.
Um, and your attitude and your ability to deal with everything will be very different and much more proactive and what's the word I'm looking for? Self-starting.
Okay. But you can't tell me if it'll get better. You don't like that word.
Well, I mean, I don't know what better might look like. Your ability to change things around you to do something about your situation will ignite and get
Oh.
that will be much more. Okay, does that help?
Yes, thank you.
All right.
Thank you, Linda.
Because I guess better is different for everybody, right? So but better is subjective. So
Yeah. So, and I just want to throw out Kim, who you reiterated the January 26th information. Kathy, she just said thank you very much.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome.
that's because we're streaming here and on Facebook and on YouTube. So we're trying to manage all the questions as they come in. So that is wonderful. Now I know Kathy, oh yeah, Melissa has a question for Sagittarius in general, but I wanted to make sure that Kathy, do you have anything particular coming up? I know you have a podcast or a YouTube shows or anything you can share
I
with
have
our
all kinds of
listeners.
stuff. I have regularly, I have like an insane schedule of forecast releases. And so I have a forecast, like a 7 to 9 minute forecast for every week. I have forecasts for every new and full moon, and I have forecasts for every month. These are at my site, empowermentunlimited.net, and they're also on my YouTube channel if you'd rather just listen. I give my information out all kinds of ways. I do political looks with another astrologer pretty much every Friday on my channel. I have a Patreon, patreon.com/Kathy Biehl, where I have, starting at the $1 level, there are 45 to 60-second snippy forecasts for the day. That's been a real challenge. And then there's a lot of other types of information. And I have a Facebook page, Empowerment Unlimited, which is kind of general astrology. And then for people who actually want to look at how astrology is playing out down on the ground, heavily news oriented, heavily politically oriented, that group is called the Astro Insight Lounge, and it's private, and you have to answer questions to get into it. You do not have to know astrology to get into it. You just have to answer the questions. You'd be surprised how many people don't. Even when it says you will not be admitted unless you answer the questions.
Yes, that's very true. I found that in the groups that I run as well. So, and I did put your website in the chat, so that is there as well, empowermentunlimited.net. And I'm assuming that you do individual readings as well.
I do.
Awesome. So
I
if
do.
anybody's
One other
interested,
thing I want to mention, I have a weekly newsletter. Goes out every Monday with direct links to everything that I have. And if you sign up for the newsletter, you will get my Jupiter in Cancer guide that shows you what area of your life is up for expansion, with Jupiter being in Cancer until the end of June this year. That's a freebie you get.
Oh, awesome. Okay, so
Nice.
they can just go to your website, sign up for your newsletter, and you'll
And they'll
just
get it. Yep.
shoot that over. That
Mhm.
sounds awesome. So, well, thank you so much for being here. I see we only got a couple of minutes left. I wanted to make sure you got all your info out there.
Thank you.
Winter, do we have time to pull a card? We usually try to pull a card towards the end of the show. Um,
Absolutely. I'm good. I just can I mention for the folks out there,
yeah, yeah, of course. I'm
um,
sorry.
I'm doing classes online, so you don't need to be near my office. And I have another 4 week session coming up that's going to focus on psychic abilities, remote viewing, astral projection, connection with spirit, animal spirit guides, pendulum. So if you're interested in that, please check out my website, winterbrookmedium.com. That should be up. If not now, it should be up tomorrow. And Mari and I are going to talk after today's show and pick next month's date. We'll get that out to you. Um, yeah, I, I have classes I'm doing now. We actually did animal communication. So I was mentioning you, Mari, last night.
Oh, thanks.
And it's just been lovely with all the anger and chaos we're going through until next week, Kathy, right? When we get more clarity, to have a little peaceful getaway via Zoom once a week and blissfully being enfolded by spirit.
Absolutely. That sounds amazing. And I know that we were supposed to talk that Winter and I were talking about doing a gallery event. So we have to get that on the books. And
Yes.
we will figure that out sometime, in the first half of the year. So, do you have a deck that you would like to pull from, or would you like me to?
Oh, it's entirely up to. Why don't you pull this month?
Yeah,
Oh no,
it's.
wait. Our guest has one.
Oh, if you have a deck, sorry, I didn't think of asking.
I thought
Absolutely,
maybe
that'd
all
be
three
great,
of us were
Kathy.
going to pull one. This is the Ace of Swords, which means cutting through a lot of stuff and like claiming your mental sovereignty. And in fact, there is an aspect going on right now that is getting really, really, really clear. Absolute clarity, facing some stuff and getting down to the truth in your own life and then in general.
Awesome. That's
Awesome.
perfect. Yeah, we actually, I don't think we've ever asked a guest to pull a card, so that was
I
perfect.
just,
Thank you so much
sorry, I
for
was being
doing that.
proactive.
Yeah,
No, that was
you're
perfect. I
channeling
have a
that fire
couple,
horse.
yeah. Exactly. You're being the fire horse. No, I appreciate that. That's a wonderful idea. Thank you for doing that. So we are actually on time this week. I can't even believe it. So, want to say a huge, huge thank you to Kathy Biehl, astrologer extraordinaire. Thank you so much for coming on, and of course, my wonderful co-host Winter Brook, and everybody here in the Zoom room, and everyone who's going to be listening on Spotify, Apple, iTunes, and iHeart. Thank you so much for dropping into Spirit Chat, and we will see you in February. Don't know the date yet, but stay on both of our websites, mediummari.com, and I believe it's winterbrookmedium.com,
Medium.com. Yep.
and it will be posted on there, and we will see you all next month. Have a good one. Hang tight.
Take care. God
Thank you.
bless.
Bye. Thank you, Kathy.